we're doing a series on single parenting, and the first part we're doing on is the agony and understanding the difficulty it means to be a single parent. I'm the oldest of 4 children raised by a single mom, and the reality of it, be able to see that single mothers can raise great kids. And that as a part of that, there's an aspect of learning how to deal with the suffering and the pain and the agony that goes on with being a single mom, and being able to balance that out and make it into a really useful thing in the life of your children. A friend of mine said that agony is spiritually invigorating. That means as you suffer, there's a way for that suffering to spiritually invigorate your life and make you a more effective single parent. The aspect of learning, being able to see what the future holds in this thing as you look forward, sometimes it gets real discouraging. As a single parent, you wonder about the future. You wonder about what your kids are going to be, how you're going to turn out. All those questions go rolling through your mind about security and health and finances and all those things. But being a single parent, you need to focus on yourself, be able to stabilize yourself spiritually, emotionally, lovingly, financially, and to understand that you can do this thing effectively. But the reality is 3 steps are important to do. Learn from the past, be able to turn around, look back at the things that not make the same mistakes again, both in relationships and marriage, and also with your moral and financial decisions. Secondly, to live in the present, to be alive and well in the present. You can't change your past. You can learn from it, you can use it, but you can't back into the future focused on some event, some hurt or some heartache or some brokenness out of your past. And then to be able to live in the present, live for the day, to understand that there are great things to experience and that you can make your children's life enjoyable and productive and meaningful. But you have to be stable yourself in order to do that. And the third step is you learn from the past, you live in the present. The third step is you plan for the future. You turn and look in the future. You can't change the past. You can only change the present and the future. So being able to see what's happening, see what's coming, to know that these are things that you need to work on in yourself to be available to it. And that no matter what happens in your life or what's going on, the aspect of it is that pain drives change. A friend of mine's written a book on that. You might look it up on Amazon. Pain drives change. And so you have to take the pain in your life, turn it around, use it effectively to become a better person. In your spiritual life, your emotional life, your loving relationships with your extended family, and your finances. That you can become a very effective and productive single parent. Your children can become effective in their own life as well. Your goal in life is not to raise children, but your goal needs to be raise children who can become parents, and they can also be a good model and a good parent. So the most fun about having children is that you get to have grandchildren. We have to figure out how to have grandchildren without having children, because that's the fun part. So if you're a single mom and you have kids that are older, then you get to find out about grandchildren, which is for some of you a long ways down the road, but it'll come really fast. Life is like a roll of toilet paper. When you get down to the end, it just goes faster. So when you're raising kids and things, it just goes faster and faster. So you have to be able to stop along the way, draw some lines, make some decisions, plan ahead, and do some things that are important, and to realize that the pain in your life can be focused individually and used in a productive way for your children. Spiritually, be able to stabilize yourself and your children. Emotionally, be able not to go up and down and bark at the moon, chasing cars up and down the road. And also lovingly, to be able to tie into your family support system. Your mother, father, aunts, uncles, outlaws, in-laws, anybody around who can provide structure to you and also to your children. I grew up after the age of 12 without a single dad, or without a dad. I grew up with a single mom. And so my family around me, my grandparents filled in, my aunts and uncles filled in, and my best friends, his mom and dad literally took me under their wing and did a lot of things that my dad wasn't there to do for me. So you have to provide that stability and that leadership for your children. If they don't have a father figure available, or if he's not functional, then you have to fill in some other way. And most of that, you can find good, stable men who are able to help your children, especially your boys, within the church setting. So you have to find a good church, stabilize somewhere, get yourself involved, and go there for your children. Over the years, I've watched single moms go to a church, not like it there, go somewhere else, and they're looking for a husband, father for their children, and they drag their kids from one church to another church. When they're young at elementary school, you can make a few changes. Once they get to junior high, you should not be changing churches or schools. And once they get into high school, it's important that they stay with their peer groups and you keep them in church so that their peers are also close to it as well. Because the agony is you raise up your children and then they'll drift away. That's just part of growing up. So they go through the transition, 15, 16, especially boys when they get taller than a single mom, they think that they're the boss and they'll make decisions on their own. And that's agonizing for a single mom, but you have to get through that period of time. The long-term hope and range for this is that you have to wait until they're 25 years old. After the age of 25, you get a letter in the mail saying, "Mom, why did you just kill us and bury us in the backyard? We were such turds, you know." And so you live for that day, but you can't worry about what's going on now and today. You can't be so focused on meeting your own emotional needs that you allow your children to go emotionally needy. So being able to look at these things, learn from the past, live in the present, plan for the future, be able to know that these are the things that God has called you to do and to be in this world of time and this day. And that needs to be the main focus on where you're at and what you're doing. And so shifting away from worry about getting married and finding a mate, finding a parent for your father for your children, is that you have to become the parent that you need to be. You need at least one good functioning parent, and right now you're the only one we got, so we have to make that work and do the best of it. And you can fill in and you can do it and do a great job. So in finding you a support system, find you a group, gather around other single moms, find conferences, find opportunity, find training, find small group Bible studies. There's a lot of support around, and being able to realize that you have things to give to other people and that there are things you've learned in your life that are extremely helpful. Man without no shoes worries until he meets a man without no feet. So even though there's some things wrong in your life, you have to realize that you have a lot of things to give to other people. And you've been a single mom for a month, and another lady's been a single mom for 2 days, and now her husband's left her and she's got 4 kids. All of a sudden you realize that life could be a lot worse for you. So stability is found in serving, reaching out to other people, and getting focus off how bad your situation is to focus on somebody else's situation. And that healing comes through service, of serving other people and utilizing their needs and find out what they want. 2 Timothy 2:2 says, "The things you have heard among me, among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who are able to teach others also." So you learn from other people, you teach other people, and you let them teach other people. And so the single moms ministry is an urgent need within our community, within our church, within our nation. Those are things that you need to provide the leadership up and reach out to others, because they're struggling by the hundreds and thousands. And it's one of the fastest growing family units in the American census. It's households led by single parents. The vast majority are females, but we're getting more and more seeing men coming into being able to have the full custody of their children and seeing things happen. And the overwhelming majority of divorces are filed by women, and so they end up with at least the custody, if not total custody, of their children. And men sometimes it's very difficult for them to be able to get custody of their children to be able to do it. But our world and our society is changing. Years ago, a woman would never do without her kids. I've got 3 individuals right now. These are men who have full custody of their children. And they got it by asking their ex-wives what they wanted. And 2 of these men bought cars for their ex-wives in exchange for full custody of their children. And you wonder what's happened to our world, to our society, to our nation that women are able to do that. 25, 30 years ago, that wasn't even thought about. And it's still the way that the vast majority of custody goes to the single mom. But it's important that single mothers need to understand that their children need a relationship with their father, good, bad, or indifferent, and that you cannot protect your children from their father's character, as bad as it is. But they need that relationship for balance and for stability. You need to be able to interact, and they have to learn about his character. You cannot protect them from that, and they have to go through the pain of that. And that if they have visitation rights, you have to enforce those rights, even though the children don't want to go and they cry, and they need to be forced to go and be able to do that time with their father. And they'll build that relationship over time, and you have to be able to allow that to happen. In this country, being able to see your children is one of the major rights that a person has. And no matter how bad they are, if the person is not of a good character, then you can set up visitation. It's called supervised visitation, that he can see his children but under the direct supervision of another adult, and you get to pick the adult. So there are ways around some of these difficult things, but deciding that you don't want your children to ever see their father again is not one of the options. And that will get you in deep difficulty. The other thing as you go along is to be able to look at things in a practical way and be able to see what's happening and to see that these things need to change over time, and you have the opportunity and the ability to be able to build a solid, mature male or female that are able to be able to marry and be able to produce children and be able to go on from there.